In this video, we're going to talk about how to make your code more readable through the use of whitespace. So I have here a little block of code that on this first line assigns a few variables individually, and then the second line creates a little object. So what's going on here is I'm assigning on this first line 4 different variables, and there's pretty much no whitespace at all except for between this var line and then this run of code. It does work, so if I copy this and switch over to Chrome, paste it in, and execute it, I now find that I do have each of these variables defined. So it does work, but it's not that easy to read. So what we want to do here is add some whitespace. Generally speaking, whitespace is ignored in JavaScript. So I can add spaces in these various places to make it easier to see what's happening. Okay, that's a little better. You can see each of the assignments are separated by commas, and the line still works. All of my variables are still defined. Now, you can get into some real craziness with this by, adding tons and tons of whitespace, and this will all still work. Yeehaw. But most of the time, you're probably not going to want to do that. What you might want to do is use whitespace in a different form. So I can do this and put my different variable definitions on separate lines, still terminating everything with a semicolon, but the lines end with a comma. And now I can just look down here visually and see, all right, here we go. Here's my variables, and then here's my assignments. You can also, if you really want to get into curating the readability of your code, start aligning even the assignment equal signs, like this. And maybe set up some hanging quotes here, so all of the values start on the same vertical line. And this works just the same. All the values are still defined. Likewise, when you're working with, say, creating an object, here we have no whitespace, and you can read it for the most part. It's a pretty simple object. But if I add some whitespace and some carriage returns in here, it gets a lot better. Now, the way that you set up your whitespace is something that programmers will, for lack of a better word, fight over. There are elements of personal preference. There are elements of, if you're working on a team, using a coding standard to make sure that everybody can read each other's code well and help make sure that everything fits together nicely. But when you're starting out, probably you're just going to be working on your own projects just for yourself. And the main issue is to keep your code readable for yourself. And so now you've seen how you can use whitespace to make your code more readable to other human beings without having any effect on its executability in terms of the machine.